Greetings, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Pammy Out Loud. I'm your host, Pamela Walsh, and whether you are a longtime friend or a brand new listener, I am glad that you have tuned in. You know, I am a verbal processor. I'm sure that is not shocking to any of y'all who know me, but what do I mean by that is that I drill down on what things are important to me and how I see the world by speaking out loud and by having the opportunity for others to give me feedback on my thinking. I think that this is really a good thing because when you don't speak out loud, when you keep the thoughts to yourself, you end up in an echo chamber, and that can be a very not only isolating place, but lonely place. I believe that when we speak out loud, we share our truth, we share our thoughts, we share our stories. And in doing that, we have opportunities for connection and opportunities for reflection. We reflect on our ways of seeing the world, the things that we look at. And for me, these are moments that I can open up the door to other people's opinions and thoughts. And I find that a great gift. And to get the feedback, especially from people whose opinions that I deeply value. I have been blessed in my life to have some rock solid, good friends and friends that have not been afraid to share with me their thoughts, and they have challenged my way of looking at the world. So that's a lot for me of when I speak out loud. What I would like to do is start the conversations that are going on in my head. And I think in the head and the lives of other people that I am privileged to know and interface with. And speaking of that, I just want to say I am really excited because our Facebook group, Pammy Out Loud, has gone over 300 members. And I am so thrilled, and I welcome each and every one of you. And for those of you that haven't been there, please come join the conversation. It is a place that I am sharing additional content about the show, but it's also a place where I really hope listeners will engage in the conversation and challenge my thinking and give me other ways of looking at some of the topics that I share on this platform. So anyway, it has been a very, very busy week in the Springs. FYI, something that I learned when we moved to Colorado Springs is people in Colorado do not call it Colorado Springs. They just call it the Springs. So it has been a busy week here. Brian went back to Austin to take care of some work-related business and call on some customers there. And it left me some time here and opportunities to have some of my girlfriends come visit. And we just had a great time, the three of us, running around Colorado Springs. I have to tell y'all, the number one thing that I do when people come to the Springs is I take them to visit the Garden of the Gods. And we do this on e-bikes. That, to me, that is the way to see the Garden of the Gods. The Garden of the Gods is very close to our house. It's practically my backyard. And I am in complete awe of this rock formation park. It currently has about, I think, a little over 1,300 acres. The original park, and I want to give y'all some facts on this. I think it's really it's just an amazing place. First of all, first thing is it's a city park. It is not a national park. It's a city park. It is the number one visited city park in the entire country and number 2 in the whole world. The other thing to know that's kind of interesting about it is it's free. And the history behind it, and if you get a chance, Google it and look at some images. I will put some photos up on the Facebook group for y'all to take a look at. But it is these beautiful rock formations, and it's the same fault line that formed from the Red Rocks, that the Red Rocks Amphitheater up near Denver is made from. And so 70 miles south here in Colorado Springs, this upshooting of a fault line formed these rocks, these red rocks that are absolutely fantastic. And it has they jut up into the sky, and there's so many different features of them that are known, and one of them is called the Kissing Camels. It's at the top of one of these ridges, and in fact, that is the name of the community that we have our second place in, is Kissing Camels. There's also, there's a formation that they call the Chocolate Easter Bunny. There is one that's called the Pregnant Maiden. There is one they say looks like Jay Leno laying down on a rock. And then my very favorite ones are the Cathedral Spires. And they look like exactly why they're called Cathedral Spires. Anyway, the Garden of the Gods, the history of it is interesting. And it was first discovered, or named, I should say, by two railroad surveyors back in 1859. And it is said that one of them, the first one, classically, a guy said, "Hey, this looks like a great place for," wait for it, "a beer garden." A beer garden. And thankfully, the second one then said, "A beer garden, while this place is fit for the gods to assemble, we should call it the Garden of the Gods." Listen, when you see it, you would agree it is fit for the gods. It is a inspiring spiritual place. It is said that there is known human existence in the Garden of the Gods of 3,000 years ago. Native Americans were there, they traded there, and it was said that they would put down their weapons to do the trading. It was a sacred place. It is home to over 100 bighorn sheep, which I have been privileged to see on just one of my tours through the garden. I do this 12-mile loop, which goes out and around the Central Park and through the whole gardens, and it is it's just awe-inspiring. The land was originally owned by a family by the name of Perkins, and in 1909, Mr. Perkins, when he passed away, he donated. He told his children, I think it was, that he wanted the land to be donated to the city on the condition, on three conditions: that it would remain free to the public, that there would never be beer or alcohol sold in the beer garden. No, that alcohol would never be served, and that buildings would never be built in the Garden of the Gods. And they have maintained this. They do have a trading post, and interestingly, there is beer served there, but the trading post sits on the edge of the garden, so it technically aligns with Mr. Perkins' original requests. It was the original park. I think that Perkins' donation was like 800 acres, and then it's now something like 1,300. But anyway, my favorite thing to do is rent electric bikes and ride through the Garden of the Gods and take people to look at all of these sites. It never gets old. It never fails to fill me with awe and wonder, and it is something that I just think you cannot miss. I wanted to share one other thing. There's a parking place on part of within the garden. There's one of the designated parking spots, and I don't know how many cars can fit in there. I'm gonna guess maybe 50 cars. I don't know. And in the summertime, it is a steady stream of people parking, leaving, coming and going. One time we went there, and this was a couple years ago. I took my sister and her grandchildren there, and we had to circle the parking lot probably for 10 minutes while we were waiting for somebody to leave. And during that time, we decided that we would play the license plate, the U.S. Let's see how many states we can find. Her children are elementary and middle school at the time, and we were circling and doing our list because y'all know I can do the 50 states in alphabetical order. So we had a list of 50 states, and we counted in a 10-minute period. How many states do y'all think that we counted in 50, just circling in like 50 parking spots for 10 minutes? We counted over 33 different state license plates in that parking lot. I just thought that was really something. So I'm just shout out to the Garden of the Gods. If you get anywhere close to Denver or Colorado Springs, or like I said, the locals say the Springs, you need to check out the Garden of the Gods. The other thing that's been on my mind, and I want to ask y'all about this, a hoot owl has showed up. I don't know if it's a hoot owl, but it's a big old owl, and it has shown up on my back porch. I'm a little concerned about this owl. I've posted a picture of it on the Facebook group, and I want to know what y'all know. Can owls get my little dog? I have 2 little dogs. One of them has a little bit of a weight problem, and I'm not so worried about her because she's like 14 pounds. But my other little girl, Pippa, is only 8 pounds, and I think that owl can snatch them up. Do y'all know anything about that? I worry about the wildlife around here. We have coyotes, and listen, we have bears. Okay, one time, this was also when my sister's grandchildren were here, and I took my great niece, Maddie, out for a bike ride. She's 10, and we were out on the bikes, and we were just going through our little suburban loop here in our neighborhood, and she said, "Aunt Pam, look." Lumbering between 2 houses is this big black bear, right? I have never seen a bear in person other than at the zoo, and this bear was not that far away from us. Maddie said, "Aunt Pam, what do we do?" And I said, "Pedal faster, Maddie, pedal faster." Anyway, that bear looked at us like, I'm on my way to a trash can, so don't worry about it. Anyway, we frequently get little bear alerts in the neighborhood, and I have learned, we have very strict rules about when we put our trash cans out and when we get our trash cans back. And I have learned from one of my favorite podcasts. Okay, here's a little dirty secret about me. One of my, what do they call this? Guilty pleasures. I like true crime, and I like animal survival, encounter stories, right? So I listened to this podcast called Tooth and Claw, and they talk a lot about these survival stories. And sometimes they don't work out so well. But basically what I've learned from Tooth and Claw is that black bears, you want to make noise, and you want them to know, you don't want to surprise them. And you certainly don't want to encounter them with cubs. But other than that, you're pretty good. They're not that interested in you as long as you have a good distance and you are not posing any threat to them. That said, I didn't really want to challenge this black bear, and I wanted to get the heck out of there. But I learned black bears, you're supposed to make yourself big, and you're supposed to make a lot of noise. Brown bears are a little nastier from what I've learned from Tooth and Claw. And then, of course, you do not want to deal with polar bears whatsoever. So just saying, stay away from the polar bears. And then I learned about sloth bears. Do y'all know anything about sloth bears? Look up those babies. They're like, they like termites. They like termites. Can you believe that? Termites and ground stuff. But if you scare one of them, they're kind of deadly. They're not a good thing, sloth bears. But anyway, if you're into survival stories, check out Tooth and Claw. It's very interesting. It's narrated or hosted by a bear biologist, and I really enjoy that podcast. So anyway, I'm worried about this owl, so I'd like for some of y'all to give me feedback about what you know about owls. And I've been keeping Pippa close by and on a leash, and I don't let her out back. I let her out back the other day, and they took off and ran across the golf course, and that was not a good thing. So we're now leash bound for the good thing. We are also seeing a lot. One of the things I love about Colorado is there's just so much wildlife. We see we have Canadian geese right out every day outside. They kind of hang out on the driving range, and it's fun to just see these different wildlife than I experience in Texas, where we see the armadillos and the rattlesnakes and all that good stuff. Okay. I'm thinking about a couple of things. I want to return to the last episode where I was talking about comforting people and how do you support people during times of stress and discomfort, grief, health issues, all of these challenges. And I got some great listener responses, and I just wanted to share couple of follow-up things that were shared with me. And one of them, I gave several tips or things that I have heard from people, my own experiences and others, about things you probably shouldn't say to somebody who are going through these times of strife and grief. And one thing came back to me that I wanted to emphasize. Several people pointed out that more important, even than saying the wrong thing. If you don't worry about saying the wrong thing, it's just important to say something. It's just important to say something, right? And I think I said that, but I also think I may have given out the impression that you shouldn't do it. If you're going, if you do it wrong, it's bad. The overriding consensus is something is better than nothing. And I will go on to tell you, I've learned that also the sooner you reach out to people, the better it is too, because, and I've been so guilty of this, where I have, I'm worried about saying the wrong thing. And then I'm going to go get the right card. And I put off reaching out to somebody, and then months go by, and then you run into them, right? And then it goes from being a genuine expression of sympathy and empathy to, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I meant to reach out, but I never did. And you know what that causes is then it puts the onus on the person that you're trying to give comfort to. Then they have to go, oh, it's okay. It's fine. I'm fine. Don't worry about it, whatever. So one of the things that I have learned through my own mistakes is it's far better to make that effort early on, as soon as you hear that someone is going through something, to reach out to them. I also want to share a story that years ago, I lost my cousin when he was 20 years old in a construction accident. And he was my aunt's firstborn child. And of course, it was a great tragedy. He was on football scholarship at Texas Tech, and he was just an amazing young man. And of course, the loss of a child is so, I don't even know what that's like. I can't even imagine. I'm just going to say I don't want to say I can even imagine what that's like. But I do remember my aunt saying, for all of the things people said, and though maybe the ones that were somewhat awkward or, just a little off-putting maybe, she said, Pam, the one that hurt the worst was the one I didn't receive. It was the one I didn't receive. And that really stuck with me because, you do notice, people do notice the people that reach out and the people that don't. And as a follow-up as well, I had some very thoughtful responses in the Facebook group from several listeners who have gone through cancer. And they helped point out, too, that it's not just reaching out once. You reach out once. If you're going through something, whatever the struggle is, check back in, check back in on the person, because just because you did this week, this one time, the process of health crisis and recovery and or loss and grief, it's not a one-day thing, right? So I just wanted to throw that out there as a follow-up, and that it's better to do something than nothing at all, and the sooner you do it, the better. So I really appreciate the wisdom and the insight from the listeners who have shared their stories and their realizations too, because I think, again, this is when we discuss these topics out loud, we have the opportunity to do better. And when you know better, you do better, right? Until you experience it yourself. But hopefully we don't have to necessarily experience things to get better at these human acts of comfort and connection that are so vital to our overall health and community. Well, I want to also share, as I wrap this up, I wanted to give you, I've been thinking a lot about the wildlife here in Colorado. One other thing I just want to tell you, my husband was in a golf tournament a couple weeks ago, and apparently a couple of golfers saw a mama bear and 3 cubs playing in water on the golf course. And I was just going to say, I just don't think you should go over there to get your ball. That's a water hazard. You got to let that ball stay in, because nobody messes with mama bear. And this is also reminding me of 2 stories of wildlife that I wanted to share with y'all. One of them, and it's a pretty famous analogy where it talks about, why do geese fly in the V formation? Why do geese fly in the V formation? And it is said that, first of all, it's aerodynamically better, the draft of the ducks, just like the draft of bicyclists, that kind of thing, the draft in cars, it creates an uplift and they can fly further, better, easier in this particular formation. It is also said that they take turns flying point. So the goose at the front, when it gets tired, it circles back and another goose takes the lead. So these are lessons, they say, that we can learn, that we can do better as a team, as a community, when we work together. We also do better when we take turns as leadership, right? And take turns doing the hard part. The other thing that we learn from geese is, apparently they will, when one of them gets sick or tired or whatever, drops down, that 2 others will stay behind with that goose. I don't know if that's true or not. It's a lovely thought, until that goose either recovers and they rejoin another flock, or that goose dies. And so it's this great illustration of what humans can do for each other as well. And then the final thing that geese do is they honk. They honk for each other, right? So the honking thing, I think of that as being inspiration and encouragement to those that are taking the leadership roles and are doing the things that need support. And so when you honk for someone else, right? Be a honker. Be somebody that is sharing uplifting, supporting messages of people, because it matters, right? So there are some great lessons that we can learn from the geese. And then finally, I wanted to share the example of another example from the animal kingdom, and that is that of elephants. And elephants have this wonderful characteristic where when one of them, first of all, when a mama is giving birth, the other female elephants will circle around the mama while she's giving birth to protect her and to protect her baby from predators and anything from the outside world. And so they rally and they form this protective circle around, and they will kick dirt on the new baby and the afterbirth of the elephant to also mask the smell to help protect the baby and the mama. And there is a video that recently ran, and I think it was from the San Diego Zoo. I'm not sure. I'll have to look it up, and I'll post it on my Facebook page if I can find it. But it is of elephants that there was an earthquake, a minor earthquake at a zoo, and these elephants instinctively, that's the word I'm looking for, instinctively formed this circle of protection where they all gathered around to protect each other, and the babies, and they kind of all just collected in this community. And it's such a beautiful example again of how a community is so important to protect and to connect with each other. Okay, I'm going to wrap this up. And, as I do, I just hope that, may the honking you give to each other be uplifting. May you look at each other and say, girl, don't get your feathers ruffled. I got you, honk, honk. And y'all have an amazing week. And remember, when you share your voice out loud, you prevent yourself from getting TMJ. Have a great week, everybody. I love y'all. Peace out.